Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Is This Thing On? So, for the record, I am not in my studio, which is aka my bedroom. I am inside my car, which is currently not doing so well, as am I. So the reason being, it's just very chaotic inside my house right now, and I kind of just feel like I can't really say what I want to say within the confines of my small house. So I'm just gonna try as best as I can to say what I need to say for this episode inside of my car. And hope I don't get interrupted by my cats and Mother Nature or something else. Anyhow, so I was gonna put out an episode last week. I know I make a ton of excuses for why I sometimes don't post an episode every week. And I'm not gonna sit here and say sorry because it would just kind of be nonsensical to do that. But I will tell you this. Last week's episode, I was gonna kind of talk about how happy I've been and how I've been thriving. And then, you know what? My mental health just kind of deteriorated and it all hit me like a ton of bricks. Maybe like 2 days ago. So, I don't know exactly what I'm going to talk about in this episode. I'm going to kind of take you on a journey, if you'll let me, if you will. You have no choice if you decided to click play on this. So listen at your own will. But I'm just going to kind of take you what I've been like going through. So yeah. I give a life update in the last episode? I think I did. Okay, so another brief life update. In the last episode, I was stressing out about how I was gonna take a critical thinking exam called the Watson Glacier exam, and it's basically a test that measures your critical thinking and aptitude and all this nonsensical crap. That is not even necessary, in my humble opinion, to do well in your career and your job. So I took the stupid test. I paid for it. Um, and I did not sadly meet the required score that they were aiming for. So I regretfully have to wait another 3 months until I can retest and, waste more money. So I don't know exactly how I plan to study for a test like this because it's a critical thinking test. They don't really make that many study materials for a test like this. So it's kind of like, well, do you just, wing it? Or what do you do? You know? So, I'm going to try to find a solution to that. Hopefully, I study from here to April, and if it all goes well and I pass and I get the stupid score that they require, and I do okay, then I'll get into the teaching certification program that I want to do because, yes, I still want to do that. I realized I really, really like teaching, and that is one of the things I want to do career-wise right now. So, yeah. But anyways, not to get too in depth with that because that's not what this episode is about. And like I said, I don't think this episode right now necessarily has a central theme. It's more of a it's an inside look at what I've been going through. So last week's episode, I was gonna kind of go into like, because someone brought it up a few weeks ago, and it gave me a good idea to maybe do an update on this, because, singleness. So let's get into that for a little bit, because I think we can do a part 2 to this. We could, heck, I could probably even turn this into a series if I wanted to. Although, don't hold me to that, because I always say that I'm going to turn the topics that I'm talking about into like little series, and I didn't do that. Like, I did an episode on attachment styles a while ago, and I never did a part 2 or part 3, and believe me, there is so much material to talk about in terms of attachment styles that I could have gone into, and a lot of theories and everything. It's just, I didn't do it because I really, really wanted to do my research on it, and especially with mental health topics. I know I have a degree in it. I know I studied it, but I've been out of school for a few years now, about 4 years. I'm trying to get into post-grad. It's hard. It's very competitive. And frankly, sometimes I don't feel like I'm qualified to talk about mental health, because I feel like sometimes I don't dedicate enough time to it, and I should. Because it's one of the things I want to do in this life. But anyways, that can be left for another day. So yeah, let's get into the part 2, I guess, of talking about my singleness. We'll talk about a little bit of that, and then we'll just kind of talk about overall how I've been doing. Yeah. Okay. We'll get into it. Whatever. So, you know what? 6 months ago, I said in that episode that I was really, 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 really happy being single. And if I'm being honest, I think the commonality that a lot of single Christians or single people just in general like face is that thriving in your singleness kind of comes in waves. And what I mean by that is that there is times, for example, in that episode, that whole week, that whole month, I was just on a roll. Like, I felt like I was on top of the world. I was conquering life. I felt like I finally had my crap together. No one ever has their crap together fully. No one ever will. That is just the truth. So in that episode, I sounded like this, self-assured, empowered woman, and not to get into this whole feminist tangent, because I'm not a feminist. I went through my feminist phase in college, and thank God I already did it, because I would have been so annoying if I had still been going through that. I'm all for women empowerment, but if it requires you to put down someone else, or put down men, or put down other women, you need to go check yourself before you wreck yourself. So, anyways, not going to get into that. But, yeah, so when I recorded that episode, I thought I had singleness kind of like, I thought I had made my singleness, my little, dang it, I don't want to curse on here. It's so hard not to curse because that's kind of on brand for me, and I'm trying not to. Also because I may have coworkers that listen to this, and I don't think they want to necessarily hear me curse. I may have some new listeners that are not familiar with my potty mouth, so I'm trying to think of another word that I could use to describe this scenario. Maybe I'll just figure out how to censor what I'm gonna say eventually. Have like the little beep go off like every time I curse. But then all my episodes would have to be explicit. The E for explicit. I don't know if y'all knew that, but the reason there's an E for explicit is if you curse or if you talk about nudity or sex or whatever, just like so that minors don't like listen to it. Anyways, minors still will, because, kids, they like to defy authority. Anyhow, I thought I had singleness on a string. I thought I had the world on a string when I recorded that episode. And, I thought I was doing pretty well. And I did. I was doing really, really well. My friends even noticed that I was just doing overall better. Some of my friends even told me that I was glowing, and I'm like, well, I don't use highlight, and I'm not pregnant, so the glow doesn't come from there. It's probably because of my very oily face. That's probably it. Or just one of those stupid, like, Instagram filters, that everybody uses on their photos. Yeah. Everybody from the exterior basically told me that they saw a change in me. They thought that I was different. And for a good while, I did feel different. I felt like I had finally made peace with the fact that this is where God wants me right now in my life. And, I was happy with that. I was thriving. I was letting God lead me to where he wanted to lead me. And I was okay and I was content. If you hear a lot of noise, guys, I'm outside. I kind of had to crack a door open in my car because it was just getting hot in here. My car's black. It's always hot where I live. So, yeah. So I had to crack a door open. Anyhow, so yeah, I did in some sense feel different. When I felt like I had finally found my identity outside of me constantly searching for a relationship and searching for validation in a relationship. And feeling like I finally knew my self-worth. And I'll be honest, like after I put that episode out, like maybe a few months later, I was kind of feeling miserable and lonely. And so, sometimes I do feel lonely. And this doesn't apply to just being single. I feel like everyone goes through their like waves of loneliness. You can have all these friends and feel like you are just this social butterfly, and yet you can feel so miserable and so lonely. Yeah. So, am I currently content in my singleness? I would say, truthfully, yes. I would say yes. Have I fully made peace with it? I think in some sense I have. And I think that what is just happening with me is just that I'm kind of in this phase of life now where I'm not really looking to date anyone or be in a relationship, and I am so glad that I'm not like outwardly searching for that anymore, because for one, it drains you like mentally and physically and spiritually as a person. And then it's just like, in some sense you want to take part in it because you see everybody around you, or you see this very skewed rose-colored glasses point of view of where you see everyone dating and coupled up and just, and you're like, well, where's my where's the person I'm supposed to date? And you feel left out, you feel like you're doing something wrong in life by not being in a relationship. And it sucks that, and I can't blame it entirely on society. Like, as much as I want to, and as much as this generation throws that around and says, oh, well, it's society's fault. And in some aspects, yes, I think it is society's fault. But it's your decision what you choose to give into. And if you're giving into the peer pressure of dating someone, just for the sake of saying that you've dated someone or that you've been in a relationship, and then you embark on this dating journey or relationship journey, and you end up finding out that the person you're with actually sucks, and that you hate dating, and that, people don't always have good intentions. It sucks. It sucks. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to give into that. You don't have to get into a relationship with someone just because you feel obligated by society and by your peers and by everybody else that keeps constantly asking you if you're ever going to be in a relationship. And it's really sad that is a lot of the time what we measure our worth upon, is being able to be someone as somebody, or be someone's other half. Ugh, I'm throwing up as I'm hearing those words come out of my mouth, and greatly so, now that the stupid glorified holiday Valentine's Day is coming up. I hate it. It's the most pointless holiday out there. And I'm not just saying this so that y'all can be like, oh my God, here comes another cynical, jaded cat lady, single, bitter spinster of a woman saying that she hates Valentine's Day. No, guys, you know what? If you have a boyfriend, if you have a girlfriend, if you have someone you're seeing and you want to show love to them, great. Awesome. Go get them those chocolates. Go contribute to this economy. Go buy into consumerism. They've got you by the freaking, they've got you, they've got you hooked, So if you want to go spoil someone with flowers and chocolates and teddy bears, you do you, all right? You do you. That's fine. I will be partaking in the day after, when the chocolate is half off, and I can sit within the confines of my bedroom and just devour it all in one sitting. Preferably dark chocolate. I'm not really a milk chocolate type of girl. I mean, if it's there, I'll eat it, but it's not my favorite thing in the world. Anyways, so I've kind of come to terms that I'm pretty okay right now. Like, I'm pretty good at the fact that I don't want a relationship right now. Like, if it happens, okay, great. It was meant to happen. It was divinely guided by God. But I'm not over here stressing about it. Like, yes, there's someone that I've had my eye on for a good while now, but I'm I don't really care about it anymore. I'm more so looking for meaningful friendships with people right now. That's kind of where my headspace is at. And if a relationship does embark from something like that, great. If it doesn't, great as well. Because to be quite honest, guys, I am a colossal mess of a person right now. And I say that a lot in these episodes, but it's the God honest truth. Like, I need to deal with a lot of my emotions, and I need to deal with my mental health in a better way. And trust me, if I had more money in my bank account, I would have gone to see a therapist by now. I really would have. Because I really could benefit from it. I really could benefit from it. I think everybody could benefit from it. I think if you can afford it, go to therapy. I think it's probably one of the best investments. And I know I say that a lot, that I'm eventually going to go to therapy. And I hope that one day I can come on this podcast and be like, hey guys, I had my first session with my therapist. But until that happens, I'm learning to deal with it as best as I possibly can. And for some of my friends, I feel sorry for them, because I feel like all they ever hear me talk about sometimes is my mental health. And that can be mentally draining for them too, because it's like there's times where they want to talk about what they're going through, and I feel like a complete jerk when I'm like, yo, hey, I'm not doing so well. I'm a mess. Can you hear me out in all my messiness? Like, can you hear me out? And it's like, I don't want to impose those burdens and those emotional, like, I don't want to impose my emotional baggage onto my friends. But it's like, sometimes what do I do? Like, I do come to God, and I talk to God like he's literally my best friend. And I tell him, like, Lord, I'm not doing so well. Like, my mental health is just in shambles. I mean, generally speaking, I'm not mentally unstable. I'll tell you that much. Like, I'm sane. I would never do anything to hurt myself. But I've kind of, like, for the last, and I was talking to a friend about this maybe a few days ago, for the last month or so, I've kind of compartmentalized and pushed aside what I've been feeling, and just kind of throwing myself into work and my career, and to some extent it does help, obviously, to keep your mind preoccupied, be busy, and do things that are gonna make you feel productive. And because at least that's how I thrive. I thrive when I'm productive. I thrive when I just have things to do. And when I'm sitting there idly with my own thoughts, I I don't do well. I don't do well. And, like, I mean, if I'm being honest, and if you'll let me be dramatic, this is quite dramatic of me to admit. But I haven't cried, like a good cry, in about a month, like a few weeks. I said a week to one of my friends, but really, it's been like a month. Like, every time I wanted to cry for the last month or so, it's like I can't bring myself to it. It's like I almost feel guilty for shedding the tears that I need to shed. And I know it sounds dramatic, but if you're one of those people that needs to cry, let it happen. Let it happen. Don't let yourself get numb to what you're going through. Because I'm like a pressure cooker. If I hold it in for too long, I will I'll lose it. And I kind of am sort of losing it right now, because I haven't cried a good cry. Like, the last 2 days I've been trying to cry, and an hour ago I was trying to bring myself to cry and like really like cry it all out and let it all out, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Um, it's hard. It's really, really hard because not only does guilt settle in, but then you're like, am I being dramatic? Like, am I coping with this in a healthy way? And like, for everyone, it's going to be a different answer. I think for me, I need to really, 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 really cry it out and really just sit there and talk to God. I mean, I always need to talk to God, and I always try to, as best as I can, talk to God and really be vulnerable with Him. But sometimes I'm bad at it. I'm really bad at getting into Scripture and really like letting God speak to me. Sometimes I'm so selfish and I let myself get so wrapped up and consumed by these fleeting emotions in me that I don't let God speak to me, and that's so bad because I'm called to love God, and I let my selfishness get in the way. And maybe that's why I'm suffering too. Maybe it's because I'm sitting here trying to deal with it all by myself and thinking that I've got the world on a string, and I don't. I'm actually unraveling really badly. And again, you're one of my friends and you're listening to this and you've had to hear me out. I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to use my friends as therapists. It just kind of happens sometimes. And I promise you that when I get an actual therapist, you'll hear less about my problems. But that's my cat. Close the door on her. She's trying to get into my car. She's not too happy that she's outside now. That we've made her an outside cat. Anyways, so yeah, if you're one of my friends and you're listening to this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I've sometimes neglected your feelings so that you could hear mine, because I have a bad habit of doing that. And it kind of brings me back to when I used to just not listen to people well. I used to be that person that would never shut up and would never let anyone talk. And I hated that because for several years I was that person. And it took me a good while to sit down with myself and be like, you suck. You suck. You need to work on this. And you need to be a better friend to people. And when I was finally able to do that, when I was finally able to just hear people out and listen to them and hear everything that they truly have to say, then I'm like, okay, you know what? I can get a word in. Because other people need to be heard too, not just me. It would be downright selfish if it's just me all the time. And again, I'm sorry to any one of my friends that have just been hearing me all the time. It's annoying. It's annoying, and I really wish I had this under control better. I really wish I could just cry it all out and it would be gone. It'd be dealt with for a few days. But it's not how it works. So, to answer your question, yes, I'm happy that I'm single. I'm more focused than ever to excel in my career, to excel at my job, to get this new. I'm pushing myself to do that more, because that I think that is where God has me right now. He really, really wants me to focus more on my career and my job, and that has become more evident as I've thrown myself more into work and I've been thriving, and I get home so tired. Like, I have an easy job and I'm very grateful for it, but I get home and I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I don't even watch TV shows anymore. I don't even keep up with the shows I watch. If I do, I'll watch it for maybe like an hour or two, then the guilt sets in, and then I'm like, oh, I should be doing something else. There's all this reading I have to get to also, that all these books that I've been meaning to read and I haven't, and I've just kind of put it there. And then I'm also trying to teach myself piano, and I was given all these piano books that I can use to help myself, and I haven't even opened them up because I've been so exhausted from work. Yeah, I only work 5 times a week, and I only work from like 7:45 to like 3:30, 4 o'clock, but I get home and I'm obliterated. So just kind of been doing nothing. um like, I'm an old lady. But yeah, I'm very grateful that my drive and my purpose has finally shifted to focusing on this part of myself, focusing on this part of my life. I'm very grateful. I'm not closed off to love. I think because I think love is a gift and love is a choice, and the best kind of love is always going to come from God and something that has been divinely guided. So I'm not closed off to love. I'm not bitter. In fact, I'm very happy for all the people in my life that have been like dating and just finding each other. Like, I could not be more happy for them, really. A few years ago, I used to hate that. Like, I used to see couples and I used to see people just like getting together, and I was like, oh, get a room. Like, seriously. I mean, PDA, like out in public, still kind of grosses me out. I'm still like, yo, get a room. Especially with like teenagers, I'm like, guys, like, I know y'all can't keep it in your pants because y'all have raging hormones, but like, can you do that in an obscure place where I don't have to see it? Yes, this is making me sound like a bitter hag. I promise I'm not. Like, I'm very happy for the people that are in love, and I'm happy that you have found each other and you're enjoying each other. I just, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it all up in my face sometimes, because I have other things I want to focus on. And not, this is kind of, it's complicated to say. Like, if a relationship were to happen for me, I don't think it would distract me from my purpose, which is like my career and my job right now. But it would be like, okay, how do I balance this? Because I am able to juggle multiple things, and it's one of those gifts like that I'm thankful for that I have. It's one of those abilities where I'm like, sometimes like I'm shocked and amazed at how many things I can do at once. But I'm just like, how would I pencil this into my like calendar? How would I pencil this into my life? Like, that's really hard to find like a good balance between business, pleasure, and you know, everything in between. That's really hard. If someone out there who has been dating someone for a good while, or has been married for a good while, you know, that's around my age or just whatever, has it figured out, let me know. I'd love to have you on the podcast and we can talk about this. But yeah, because I think relationships and being single and love is just something I probably will never stop talking about on this podcast, because I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, or maybe I have, but a good while ago. I was going to make this into a dating podcast. I've said it before and I'm saying it again. I was going to make this into a dating podcast. But roughly, frankly, your girl does not have experience in that. So thank God it did not turn into that. Thank God that I can just kind of talk about whatever the hell I want on this podcast. But yeah, that's where I am. I'm happy being single. I'm thriving being single. I feel this great sense of purpose and urgency where I'm at. And I'm really, really thankful to God that He hasn't brought me the person that I'm supposed to be with yet. But I will tell you this. A year ago, I looked at dating in a totally different way than I do now. And I'll tell you what changed for me. Because a year ago, I thought that it was okay to casually date. I thought it was okay to go on dates and, do the whole thing, get on a dating app, and I'm being candid on here. I'm being honest. I was on those dating apps. I was on Tinder. I was on Bumble. I was on the Christian dating apps too. I was on all of them. I was bored and I wanted validation. And let me just tell you, none of those things worked for me. And I think I've already said why they didn't work for me, so I'm not even going to get into that. But basically, once I got out of that headspace that you have to date someone just because you're bored or you want validation, like, once you get out of that, trust me, like, your entire focus is going to shift. So I'm glad that happened for me. Oh my goodness, my cat is just being so extra. Come here. No? Okay. If you hear my cat, she's here with me. Anyways, so now where I stand with all of that is that if I'm gonna date someone, and this should be common sense, especially because I'm a Christian. But even when I did call myself a Christian and I did consider myself a Christian, I wasn't thinking the way that I should have now. I was okay with casual dating. I was okay with, like, dating around and all that. And, I'm not hating on anyone that does that. If that's what works for you and that's what you want to do, great. That's just not how I view dating and love anymore. If I'm going to date someone, and again, it's common sense, but if I'm going to date someone, it's going to be because I am looking towards marriage. I'm looking towards spending the rest of my life with someone, making a big commitment. And I'm taking that very, very seriously because I don't want to be wasting my time with multiple people, and multiple heartaches and the whole thing, because giving your heart away to someone, it hurts. It hurts. And not that I have much experience with this again, because I've never really been in a relationship, but I've caught glimpses of it, and it really, really hurts. It hurts to get over someone you never even dated, and it's just good to protect yourself, protect your heart, guard your heart, and be mindful of who you're letting into your life. And for me now, I'm at a point where whoever I end up dating next, whoever comes into my life, whoever God blesses me with, I'm looking towards marriage. I'm not looking to date them long term. I'm looking towards marriage. That's where my headspace is at. And I'm so glad God has shifted my perspective in that. I'm so glad that I'm thinking like that now and not thinking like the world. Because I don't want what everybody else has. I want what God wants for me. And so yeah, like, if dating happens, it happens. I'm not gonna fight it. But yeah, I'm very happy where let me phrase that differently. I'm very happy where I'm at, career and job wise, because that's where God is leading me, and I'm happy in that sense. Mentally, I have a lot of days where I have really high highs and really low lows, where I feel like I'm on top of the world, I'm doing great, I'm conquering everything. But I have days where I just want to, like, cry. And I'm just kind of going through one of those days where I want to cry it all out. And I probably need to. Like, I probably, as soon as I, like, get into the shower, I'm probably going to cry it all out. I have, like, I have red shampoo on my hair right now. Because if you guys didn't know, not that anyone cares, I dyed my hair red, because, like, spur of the moment thing. I was bored with my blonde hair. I was kind of hating it. I didn't like it anymore. My highlights had kind of grown out. Um, so I, went on an impulse last week, bought the hair dye, dyed it myself, had my sister help me, and I love it. So yeah, we're rocking red hair. Maybe I can finally get my old nickname back, Red. Used to be my old nickname, Red, because I have Russian heritage, and now I have red hair. So, um, anyways, but yeah, my my word of advice for anyone out there that's kind of feeling lonely, that kind of feels like her friends are against her, because that's another thing that I'm kind of going through. I used to be sad about not having a boyfriend and not being in a relationship, and now I'm sad over the fact that I have just people in my life, like friends that I considered friends. I kind of have a lot of I've been dealing with a lot of, like, I've been arguing with them a lot. And a lot of it is my fault, and I will admit that. But I think maybe what is happening is that I'm growing up, and my emotional needs are changing, and the people that I rocked with are just, they're not really rocking with me anymore. And you can have all the friends in the world and still feel so lonely. And that's what sucks. Like, luckily I have really good friends in Bible study and at church that I've made, and I'm grateful for them. I really, really am. But it's just like the friends that I considered like my best friends, they're just not. And I'm not saying this to talk bad about them. This is just how I honestly feel. But I feel like God is pushing me to, like, let go of these people. And I think I've just kind of outgrown them. And you know what? I think that's okay. We get to a point where, like, our priorities as people change, and our emotional needs change. And some of the people that we once considered best friends are not always going to be there for us, and we're not going to see eye to eye a lot of the time anymore. And is it sad to have to cut people out and let them go, or slowly let them fizzle out? Yeah, it's sad, but I think it's necessary for your own mental health, for their own mental health, and just in general. I think change is okay, and it's necessary, and it's part of life, part of weeding things out. And if this is what needs to happen, so be it. I'm not going to fight it anymore. Um, and I'm pretty sure that I'll be okay. I'll be okay with the few people that I am friends with, and I'll be okay with the people that I've met so far. And I have to be okay with sometimes being alone. And I've enjoyed my solitude. I've enjoyed my moments of being alone. And I'm not talking in the sense of, like, singleness, because I've gotten really comfortable being single, and I can really say that now in my life. It's not that. I've gotten really comfortable with enjoying my alone time. Like, I cherish it. I value it. Frankly, I wish I had more of it a lot of the time, because I've learned so much about myself and so much about what I need and what I want and what I don't want, collectively. And so I think that is very, very important. But I'm also just ready for whatever comes my way, for whatever the Lord is putting into my life. So I know this answer is kind of all over the place, and this episode's all over the place, but that's where I'm at, guys. That's where my headspace is at. I hope that if anyone I'm I'm growing. I'm blossoming. I'm turning a new leaf. Um, I'm using a lot of metaphors to describe what I'm going through. But basically, and so keep listening and tuning in, and I promise that not everything I talk about is going to be so grim and sad and so moody and ungrateful. Um, so yeah, but I love you all. Thank you for the ones that have been listening. Thank you for the new listeners I've gained. If you've stumbled upon this, hi. Hope you're enjoying this wild ride that we're both taking. As always, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, call the podcast number, leave me a voice message. The podcast number is 956-278-0720. That is 956-278-0720. One more time, 956-278-0720. So yeah, call it, leave a voicemail, text it if you want to be on the podcast. I also have a voice link that you can just leave like a little voice memo on, and that goes straight into the podcast website. So if you want to if you prefer to leave it on there, cool, do it. Record a little voice memo. I also just made an Instagram for the podcast. Go follow it. I will link it down below in the description of this podcast, or the show notes, whatever people want to call it. Please leave a rating, a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I also have a group of friends that started a podcast not that long ago, and it's called the Pog Cast, and they do podcasts ironically. Their humor is very ironic and nerdy, and they're just really funny guys overall. Their names are Justin and Tevi. They're brothers. They record their podcasts at midnight and they post it the next day. I don't know if they have a consistent posting schedule. I feel like they have been posting pretty consistently, so I can't tell you what days that they post. I just know that they record at midnight and then they post the next day. So if you want to go check out their podcast, guys, I will link it down below as well. Go check them out. Go support them. They are funny guys. They're great. If you're into nerdy video game, anime, Dungeons and Dragons type of stuff, go check them out. Even if you don't know anything about that, like me, it's still funny to hear their witty banter. They're really funny guys, and they're great, and they're just funny. So Justin and Tevi, I know y'all listen to this, so shout out to you. Love you guys. Love your podcast. And here's some of my podcast clout to you. Anyways, guys, I will link their podcast below if you want to go check it out. They're funny. Anyways, I hope y'all are having a beautiful, wonderful morning, day, or night, whatever time of the day you listen to this. Go follow the podcast Instagram. I made a podcast email as well. If you want to email it, I will link it down below as well. Yeah, hope y'all are doing well. Hope things are looking up for you. If you're struggling mentally, guys, know you're not alone. I'm praying for all you. I'm rooting for all of you. I'll link down some mental health resources down below like I always do. Yeah, go hug the people that you love. Go tell them you love them. Go on a walk. Go on a hike. Go pet your cat or dog. Go make some coffee. Just go do something that makes you happy. Know that you don't have to stay in this darkness. And if you do have to cry it out, guys. It's okay. Let it all out. If you don't want to cry it out, that's fine too. Journaling has helped me immensely. Songwriting has helped me immensely. So go do whatever it is that you need to do to make yourself feel better. It's okay to take time for yourself. Don't feel guilty. As always, guys, I love you all. Hope y'all are doing well. And with that being said, go forth, prosper, and God bless. Bye, guys.